guys, I got a question about balancing the workload of methods with, say, other subjects. Especially for those of you who are studying a fairly heavy science-based curriculum. So if you're dealing with anything like chemistry, with physics, with biology, psychology, even stuff like health PE, anything that's really content heavy can obviously take a huge strain. But science subjects in particular do require a lot of work just to get through the practice and to be able to deal with those sorts of things. You know, you're doing a huge amount of practice questions and all that sort of stuff. Methods is one of those ones where you need to stay on top of the practice, and it can get really hard to balance everything. Having said that, no matter what subjects you're doing, in Year 12 you're going to be doing a lot of work. So it's important to find a way to try and balance your schedule out. And as much as I love methods and wish that I could just say to every one of my students, study nothing but methods because I want you to do really well in maths, I know that the reality isn't true. I know that you've got 5 subjects, usually, that you're working on in Year 12, possibly 6 if you're working in Year 11, and certain subjects can take up a lot of your time if you let them, and not in a great way. It's important to learn how to practice balancing everything out. Now, how you do that is not necessarily something that comes very naturally, because, let's face it, you've never had to balance anything like this before, so it's a pretty huge deal. Try, from my point of view, and this is just the experience that I've had through my own studies as well as helping a lot of students over the last few years, is you have to find a way to get the most efficient style of work done. Now, what I mean by that is your study should become a matter of getting things done, not about taking time. I actually did a video on this, I think, a few years ago, and I called it Study Based on Results, Not on Time. You can probably find it in YouTube if you have a bit of a squiz around, but basically the idea was that you find a way to make your study about getting results instead of about just spending time. If you go in with a mindset of, I'm going to work on maths for 2 hours, then you're going to work on maths for 2.5 hours and get about half an hour's work done. It's just not going to happen. Time-based study is not an efficient way to do things. It just basically means that you sit there trawling through problems and you have no incentive to try and pick up your pace to get more efficient, to work harder or smarter or anything like that, because you're just in there for a time frame. Instead, shift your focus into getting results. Right? Don't set yourself up with an idea of, I'm going to study maths for half an hour, or I'm going to study physics for 45 minutes, or I'm going to read my biology notes for an hour. It's not going to work. Instead, set yourself an actual goal, one that's not based on time, one that will take a realistic amount of time to achieve, but is actually based on the result. For example, when I was studying, I stopped saying, I'm going to do an hour's worth of maths homework. Instead, what I was saying is, I'm going to get 30 questions done. Now, I figured that 30 questions was roughly an hour's worth of work, and so I based it around the same sort of idea. But what I ended up finding is, because I had set this goal on a result instead of a time, I got faster. Because let's face it, nobody wants to do homework. And if you can be done faster, that's a great thing. So as soon as I said to myself, my goal is to get 30 questions done. If it takes me an hour and a half, bad luck. It took me 40 minutes. And it's not because I was like super quick and rushing or anything like that, but you have the incentive to work smarter when you're setting a result based on, well, a result, instead of just basing things on time. Time-based earning is dangerous, and time-based results are going to cause the same problem. It's actually something that happens a lot in the workplace as well. People who are based on, getting paid by the hour, they have no incentive to work smarter. People who are paid based on a result have an incentive to work smarter and faster, more efficiently, so they have more time to themselves with the same payoff. Your study should be treated pretty much the same way. If you set yourself a goal of getting a quality amount of work done rather than a quantity of time, you'll find that you naturally are incentivized to speed up your process. You'll find more efficient ways to do things. You'll find smarter ways to do things that ultimately have a better payoff. So instead of sitting there and reading through biology notes for an hour, set yourself a goal of what you're going to get through. Maybe I'm going to get through, this topic's worth of revision, or I'm going to do these notes, or I'm going to create these cue cards, or I'm going to go through 100 cue cards. Whatever the case may be, if you set it based on a result instead of a time-based period, you'll find yourself willing to want to work more efficiently. You'll find ways, you'll get creative, you'll find ways to get things done faster, because let's face it, once you're done with those biology notes, you can go and watch Netflix. And isn't that what we're all here for? So, when you're trying to balance a large amount of work based across a bunch of subjects, change your style of thinking for how you're going to get through that work. Stop basing it on trying to schedule time slots for your work and start instead basing your study on getting things done. And as soon as that happens, something will change and you'll be able to get things done faster, more efficiently, you'll have more free time, and the quality of study that you do will ultimately be at a higher level as well.